Dr. Nikita? Dr. Nikita, can you hear me? Shiv, are you there? Dr. Nikita, can you hear me?
Sir.
Yeah, Dr.
Yes,
Nikita,
sir.
the YouTube link is on the group, right?
Yes, yes, I have already logged in.
Okay, that's visible, right?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay. So we'll start up the session in the next 3 minutes, 4 minutes, right?
Sir, expert has joined. I think you have
Yes,
to be
yes, yes.
co-host him.
Yeah. Yeah, Mr. Ravind, you have the co-host options now. So we will start up in the next 3 minutes.
Okay.
Moderators, please mute all the other participants. I think we can start off with this session now. So, first and foremost, good morning to one and all the participants here, all the participants who have joined us for the day 4 of Infocus 2020, session 1. Thank you to all the participants who have joined us for the last 3 days for different kinds of lectures, different kinds of interactions. People from different fields, all thorough professionals, people from different sectors, entrepreneurs, innovators, IT professionals, professionals from the semiconductor industry. And today as well, we have with us Mr. Ravin Bish. I have the pleasure of having known him for many years, and he's a thorough IT professional. Uh, so many things can be said about him. He's a thorough professional, but I'll give a very brief introduction of him because he has got a very detailed profile. So almost the half of the time of the session will be going reading out his profile. I'll just give a very brief introduction of Mr. Ravin. And first and foremost, I would like to thank him that he has joined us for this wonderful session. So Mr. Ravin, this is currently the Vice President at JP Morgan Chase and Company. And he has had a very rich experience in IT. He has been an IT professional all throughout his career. More than 14 years he has been in the IT industry. And specifically 10 years he has been involved in CRM, that is the Salesforce, and the customization and the development and integration and all those things. So he has been a thorough professional with the CRM. He formerly has also been associated with PricewaterhouseCoopers PwC as the technology managers. He has also given his services in the initial part of his careers to Stadia and Accenture. So all throughout, and also Sapient as well in the initial stages. So all throughout his career, he has been associated with the IT industry. So he has seen it all, the initial phases of the IT industry and the things, the highs and the lows. And here he is now, and we thank him for joining us for this session. So, and before I pass on the host controls, I'll just like to tell all the participants to stay muted so that there is no disturbance while the conversation is going on. And I like to keep it as an interactive session. It will be more than a discussion than an expert lecture. So I'll make the house open after a while for questions, right? But in the meantime, if you have any questions, you can put it in the chat box so I can put it across to the expert. So I'd like to request now Mr. Ravin Bist I'll pass over the host controls to him so he can start off with the proceedings. Welcome, sir.
Sure. Thank you, Ahmed. By the way, this is just for information that Ahmed and I were classmates. We known each other from class 3rd. He's one of my best friend. Thanks, Ahmed, for giving this opportunity to talk to the student groups. So I'll give you my brief introduction, and then I jump to the Salesforce part. As you know, guys, my name is Ravin, being working in IT industry for around 16 years now. I did my education from Bhopal, and then I completed my master's in computer application from Bhopal itself, and then I joined Satyam as a campus selection. In Satyam, after Satyam, I worked for around 2 years in Satyam, and then I moved to a company called Sapient. There again, I worked for around 3.5 years. Till Satyam and Sapient, I worked in Java J2E technology. After I joined a boutique company called Stadia. This is a boutique company who work primarily on Salesforce as a technology. After working around there for around 4 years, I joined Accenture for a brief period for around 2 years. There I worked as an associate manager technology. After that, I joined a consulting firm called PricewaterhouseCooper, which is one of the big four companies. And I'll explain you what does big four mean. And after that, since then, after joining PwC for 4 years, I joined my current organization, JP Morgan and Chase. So just to give a brief idea about JP Morgan and Chase, we, as you might guys know, that it's a bank, but it's a bank for the customer. We treat it as a fintech, a financial technology firm. And there's a huge amount of innovation which is going in JP Morgan and Chase, which probably need a different session to explain what all we are doing. But yeah, it's great working with JP Morgan for last 2 years. Now, going back to Salesforce, I'll jump on Salesforce. And guys, as Ahmed said, that I want it to be as interactive as possible. I will not go in details of Salesforce. I want to give that much of information so that you guys can digest it. And if we need further technical session, we can have some other sessions. Reach out to Ahmed, and then if you think we need, we can have another session. But yes, I want to keep it to a level where you guys can understand this, digest it, see what other options are, why it is relevant right now, and what are the job opportunities around it. So let me share my screen and see. I'm sharing my screen. Okay. Ahmed, can you confirm if you can see the screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, and you are seeing the PPT, or you are seeing the desktop, right?
PPT? No, I'm just seeing the PPT.
Okay.
Yeah.
PPT, fine. And again, guys, please be vocal. This PPT I created this PPT just for keeping in mind that you guys, it should be relevant for you. That's the whole idea. If you feel anywhere, any questions, please ask the question. This session is for you guys only. Okay. Now, Salesforce. Let's talk about Salesforce. So I'm not sure how many of you are aware of Salesforce or a Salesforce as technology. Salesforce is there for around. It started at 19. I think around 2000 is where it become more visible. And right now it is one of the biggest cloud company. So what is Salesforce? So Salesforce offer service as a SaaS. It's a software on cloud, and it offers sales software service. So if you want to correlate Salesforce with any of the application you guys know, correlate it with Gmail. And it behaves exactly as Gmail. So you have an account on Gmail. I have account on Gmail. We both go to a single URL, gmail.com. You put your ID and password, and I put my user ID and password. You will see your data. I will see my data. The same concept with Salesforce also. It gives one single URL to everyone. And then what happens is, if I log in with my credentials, my user ID, password, I will see my data, and the same goes with some other company. So as I said in this PPT, Salesforce is the 5th largest software company in the world. They have a huge event every year around September, November, called Dreamforce. If you guys follow Salesforce, you will be able to understand. So it's kind of a tech function they organize every year in San Francisco. They do all these events in all the major cities in India also, different events. So now see, just to try to understand the paradigm of whole IT industry has been changed. Right now, no company has that much of bandwidth, that much of resources to start building the app from the scratch. And that is where the whole concept of Salesforce, and similar to Salesforce, you'll find many other companies also. Microsoft has their own product called Microsoft Azure. They have, and same with Oracle have their own product. SAP have their own suites around it. But I'll come to that part, why Salesforce becomes so dominant in this market. But let's jump to next slide, which talks about what is Salesforce. Now, Salesforce is, as you guys probably will be knowing, is a customer relationship management solution on cloud. Now, that is what being initially sold out, but now it has become more than that. It is now offering different clouds. So when I say different clouds, it means different solutions on the same platform. Now what they have started doing is that they have started keeping industry in mind and coming up with different solutions. So as you see in the screen, we have something called Sales Cloud, we have Service Cloud, we have Marketing Cloud, Commerce Cloud. Uh, we have analytics right now. Recently, they have bought a company called Tableau, which is a huge reporting solution, and they have added them as part of their product suites. Then they have something called MuleSoft, which is a middleware system. So many stuff, and I'm going to briefly touch upon on some of the few clouds, and why these clouds are relevant, why they are coming with these many offerings, and what does it mean to us as a resource, or a Salesforce, how it impact as you guys in terms of learning and building the knowledge. Now, we'll give a few more input on why Salesforce is needed as a solution. Why Salesforce, and what is the reason behind Salesforce being becoming so much strong? So one simple fact, if you see this diagram, it's talk about how a legacy platform work and how Salesforce work. A legacy platform that let's assume that I'm a startup and I want to start a new I have an idea and I want to start my business. So obviously every startup is come up with a unique idea, and they want that unique idea, they want to run that unique idea. And obviously apart from running their business, one of the important part will be how you want to manage that idea within a software. So if I talk about a legacy systems or a legacy way of doing things, you have an idea, you're obviously going to get some hardware to install. You then either buy a software or build a software. Uh, Buying a software, any software you go, based on my experience, it will not fulfill your 100% of requirement. Even if that same with the Salesforce also, if you buy a Salesforce, it does not meet your 100% of requirement. It may cater to your 20, ideally it will cater to your 10, 20 or 30% of requirement. Rest 70% you need to build it or customize it. So then again, a huge effort goes in building the software, and same goes with managing the hardware, putting on LAN and all those kind of stuff, getting the domain, and all sort of costs are there. Obviously, if you want to build something based on customer facing website, you need to or even for your employee also, you need to understand the whole access management, who can access what. I am admin, I can do many stuff which you as a user you will not able to do that, those kind of things. Obviously, if you then it can come along with the reporting needs. Reporting is very important for higher management. That is where the whole decision is based on. So reporting, nobody can ignore that. So you need to again get up some reporting solution, feed in the data, build some integration, those kind of stuff. And then obviously the last thing will be is that you need to make it secure. We don't want hacker to hack the system and play around with your data or steal the data, all those kind of stuff. And then ultimately, when you build it for your desktop, obviously the way we are going right now is the digital. We want to make that app available on mobile. Now think of and hold this process. Now if somebody want to make this process, it will take years of effort, a huge amount of man hours, huge amount of money. You need to have a big team and all those kind of stuff. So that is where Salesforce come up with its own unique solution. You have an idea, Salesforce is an on-demand platform. I'll say pay as you go. the way you pay for Netflix subscription. You pay monthly amount to Netflix. You can watch the content. Same with Salesforce. You buy number of license to them with them, and based on that you pay to them. And along with that, they will offer. They have different. Salesforce have different versions. So based on what kind of uh, company you are, how big company you are, and all those kind of, they come up with different options, and you can buy it along with that time. And at some point of you think that, okay, from this day I don't want to use it, you stop paying. It's all gone. You don't need to maintain any hardware. You don't need to maintain any software. Everything will be on cloud, and you don't need to worry about the cloud, the security. Plus, when you build, when you get the Salesforce, it gives you the mobile app, which again it will be the same app. You can download it either on Android, iOS, your iPad, and you can access your same data. Now, till recent time, there was a huge question on the security of data of Salesforce, and that is why a good amount of financial company was reluctant to move to Salesforce. But it seems over the period of time, they have proven, and they have this proven record where they have no security breach. The downtime of system is 99.9. So you can understand how robust the architecture of Salesforce is, along with the platform. You can see live status of your instance. And when I say instance, I want to go a bit deeper in that. So the way Salesforce works is Salesforce is built on multi-tenant architecture. What does it means? It means that when, on a simple language, you have a server, and in that server, the data will be the whole server, the CPU, the memory, everything will be divided among different Salesforce user. So let's say if I am company A, you are company B, both our data, our processing will be done on same server. So in one server, you will have multiple companies, data, processes, everything is on the same server. So that is why we call it as multi-tenant architecture. Hope that is clear. If not, then please ping into Ahmed. I can get deeper into that. But what as an user, what I need to do? I don't need to do anything on that. That is something managed by Salesforce, and they are managing it. I just, as a consumer, I just need to use that system. So that is where, and if you see, I have enclosed the Gartner report, which is one of the biggest reporting firms, and you can clearly see in this, Salesforce is way ahead of all its competitor. You can see you have competition from Microsoft, you have competition from Oracle, ServiceNow, Pegasystem, SAP. All these systems, Salesforce is way ahead, and it will keep on happening. I've myself been part of Salesforce journey from around 12 years or so, and it is being a great journey so far. Now, talking about the journey, I want to set up. I will briefly deviate from Salesforce. Is about how as a student. What should you guys should keep in mind? I know some of you guys might be of in last semester and will be soon looking for jobs. So you need to sure understand, and this again purely based on my experience, what I think. People may think have different ideas. So if you are going to join IT as a job opportunity, IT has many roles, many job roles, but mostly when you start with career with any IT firm, you will be joining as a developer. You will be joining. You will be joining as either a developer or tester, things like that. And it always good that you have a developer mindset. Many of my friend was not very fond of coding, and same may happen with you guys also. If you love coding, it will go very long with you, and it will help you definitely a lot. now, just to give an example, that nowadays manual testing is gone. There is no more. I know very few company has this manual testing as an opening, but even if our company like JP Morgan want to hire somebody, we go for an automated tester. Now, what does it mean by automation testing? It means that you should be able to write code in Selenium. What is Selenium? Selenium is very basic, the way you write Java code. So what I'm trying to say is that if you love coding, it will go very long with you. It will help you in your career, and it will take you way forward. If you try to run away, which in many cases people are during your college time, you will eventually need to learn it. And if you love something and try to work on that, you don't need to run away from that. So what I'm trying to say on a high level is you should learn coding. You should try to code it, because once you go into a job, nobody will help you in writing the algorithm or the logic. People can teach you coding, but nobody will teach you learning how to write algorithm, how to solve a problem. So it's very important that you should try to code as much as possible. The second thing is that nothing is fixed, even in IT industry also. So when I say IT industry also, when I started my career, I was Java J2E guy. I worked for around 6 years in Java J2E, and the way. So Java, again, just for your guys' reference, the way we teach in Java, and when it comes for building an application, that only become a very core thing. But then there are many frameworks you need to learn when you get into a job and when you actually build those applications. So that the Java become 1% of it, and then remaining 99% becomes all the frameworks which company uses to build that application. So what I'm trying to say is that when I started my career, I started Java, and it almost took me around 3-4 years to become expert on Java, and eventually able to write complex code, build complex application in Java. When by the 6 years, I was quite comfortable in Java, writing solutions, building solutions, design diagram, and all those kind of stuff. But at that time, I take a big leap, and move to Salesforce. And it will all happen to you guys also. You cannot stick with one technology for long. There is no one technology in which you will going to spend your entire life working on that. So what I'm trying to say is that you need to be flexible. You should be changing your technology every 6 years. So somebody may say that why I have worked around 12 years in Salesforce. Now Salesforce itself has changed a lot. They have moved to a different technology also. Earlier it was kind of a client server architecture with a coding language very similar to Java J2E. Now they have moved something called Lightning, which is a component-based approach, and Verb is primarily based on your JavaScript, CSS, and bit of Java. It has their own terminology. In the coding, the server-side coding in Salesforce called Apex, and the client-side coding in Salesforce called is Visual Force Page or Lightning Component. So on a whole, what I'm trying to say is that you need to be flexible. You cannot stay on same technology for long. You need to keep changing your technology, even though the base may be same, but it will come to you in a different format or different names, and you should be flexible enough to take them as an opportunity and build your career around it and learn it. So let's jump back to Salesforce now. So next slide is why Salesforce for you as a technology. What are the job opportunity we have? You will see in market, whether it is well paid technology or not. So let's talk on that. If you see, based on so as I said earlier, Salesforce coding is based on Java, HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. And that's what in nowadays people call it as a full stack developer. There's a huge demand in market, which in terms of full stack developer. What happens earlier was that I am very good in Java, but I don't know JavaScript or CSS. Now, in market, you still will find these kind of requirements, but still people always prefer that a person who has a good understanding of front end and the back end. So Java is your kind of a controller side of coding, and whereas HTML, JavaScript, CSS is your front end coding. So that is what is mostly most people term as a full stack developer, where you know the front end and the back end. So and same in Salesforce also, you have front end, back end, those kind of things. What added additional information or additional benefit you get out of Salesforce is you will start understanding the business also. So I'll come to that part when I explain your Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, that how you will understand the business part also. Whereas in Java, you will only, or .NET, it will tell you how to code, how to write a class and all those things. But how Salesforce will help me understanding business, that is what the additional benefit you will get from Salesforce. As I said earlier, the way Salesforce is being built around, you can customize as per your need, either by writing code and or by configuration also. So in my days, and I don't know whether it's true right now or not, but when we used to learn Visual Force page, you drag a form, you drag a button, and you just write some piece of code on the back of those buttons, and here you go, you got a form, instead of building a form or writing a code from that form also. So it's some of these things are very similar in Salesforce, where you can do some customization and those kind of stuff without writing much code. Now, in terms of the demand of Salesforce developer, this is something which is, again, I didn't build this PPT. I get it from Salesforce itself. That is what they are saying is, you can see India is a huge market, US is a huge market, and so these jobs you will find it everywhere. There is no shortage of jobs in Salesforce, especially for the experienced resources. So once you're able to start your career in Salesforce, after 2 years, you will be kind of, even if you have just 2 years of experience, you will be getting on an average far much better pay as compared to any other developer right now. So that covers the last point also. It's a good paid job. This is something which data I fetch it from Indeed. So you can see that how much Salesforce developer is getting paid on an average, and it is kind of equivalent to a full stack developer which you have. So it's a highly paid job, and it's, as a career, it's good to start with. Ahmed, are there any questions which I should take, or we want to take it at the end of this session?
Okay, so I'll take initially some questions from my end, and then I'll open the house to the students to ask them certain questions. So, so basically, since you are there in the IT industry for such a long time, and there are different companies as such in IT, in the sense that there's a consulting company and there's a service company. So basically, what according to you is the primary difference between working in a service company and that to a consulting company?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And so first of all, as a fresher, that was again my take, and I'm still thinking, wherever you get a job, it's great. But once you get to a level, or once you are experienced enough, where you get multiple offers in the same time when you're looking for a job change, then these things matters. Now, the way I say the whole thing is divided in IT industry. We have something called captive. We have product-based companies. We have captives. We have consulting companies. We have service companies. And by the way, even the service companies has their consulting department. So product-based companies are companies like who makes product. For example, Salesforce itself. Salesforce make their own product also, so they hire people also for that. So those are product-based companies. Captive companies is something where I'm right now working on, where I build software for my company itself. These are called captive companies. Companies. Then comes the consulting companies. Now, so and that will bring me bring the question about the big fours. People who don't know, I will suggest you should go back and Google it. What is big four? But I'll explain brief. So that is where so big four is nothing but a set of consulting company which are world renowned consulting companies. These big four companies work on a similar line of business. And to name big fours, we have called Deloitte, we have called PwC, we have ENY, uh, and there was one I also forgot. So yeah, there's one I forgot. But these four companies are what they call as big four companies. And so what work does a consulting company do, and what work a service company do? And as I said earlier, that a service company may have also a consulting group. For example, Accenture has Accenture Services and Accenture Consulting also. So in terms of work, work is good everywhere. But normally, when you work with a consulting company, you will get a unique challenges to solve it. And I think, and you will able to work in some of the unique solution which will change the industry itself. There's quite possibility. So in terms of solving a problem, I will say consulting company is a good company. So because consulting company does not only do IT work. To give a simple example, that one of the big fours is being so when there was an Iraq war and there was a war in Afghanistan. And just give an simple example that companies float tenders to build to rebuild the entire company, entire country. Same goes with smart cities. There are companies who are building the smart cities within India, and so these are consulting companies who do those kind of stuff. So they do a very large scale project, which may end up of 1 or 2% things in IT. So and then that is the reason they have the IT division also. So then someone say that why people and then someone say why a consulting firm goes into IT. So think from that perspective that you are a business owner, and I reach out to one of the big four saying that this is my problem statement, solve it for me. They come up with bunch of recommendation that you do this, this, and this, and this. Now, at times, what happens is you when you go to Big Four, they give recommendation, and then you take that recommendation and go to some other company. You may end up of implementing half of it, or the whole idea has gone. So that is why the reason some of these companies say that okay, you come up with this idea, you build the solution for this also, and that is why these Big Four now have their IT division also, where when the solution comes, they ask them to build it. And these most of these times, as I said earlier, these solutions are unique in nature. They are catering to specific examples in a specific solution, which may end up in changing the whole domain. Same
Very
example on the
customized
on the
solutions.
example that customized solution. So I'll give you another example that uh, one of the project which I did in earlier was on the health industry. Now we built a solution on Salesforce, and it was meant to change the whole medicine in hospitals basically. So what they want is the idea was that the nurses or the support staff should focus on the patient, not to the availability of resource, to the availability of bed, and all those kind of that should not be their job. So as soon as a patient come into a hospital, the moment he get registered, that patient entire journey will be divided. So let's say a patient need to go to a surgery, a message goes to a surgery department head saying that this patient is coming at this particular time. Please make sure that we have a bed ready or a surgery ready for that particular guy. We have operation theater ready. As soon as the operation completes before 5 minutes, a message goes that this surgery is complete. It goes to a ICU department. We need to keep a bed ready for this guy. It's coming. So the whole idea was that the nurses, the doctors should focus on patient, not focusing on whether the resource will come, whether the bed is ready or not. That's not their concern. They should be focusing on patient. So that's one of the examples.
Completely
So,
automated
so
system.
yeah, exactly. So that's what the idea is. Again, it's no company is good or bad. My point is that what kind of job they do, I want to explain that way. So probably in some of these consulting firms do a quite a good amount of automation, which you may not be end up in doing in service industry. So that's the primary difference. Where saying that service company do have their own consulting group also.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
As far as the technology part is concerned, and correlated to Salesforce as well, there are a lot of tech terms we do get to hear, and one which we normally get to hear from the students as well. Some of the students are also asking questions on that as well. That DevOps is being heard a lot right now in current scenario. So, what actually is DevOps, and what are the opportunities when it comes to learning DevOps for the students of engineering background primarily?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So this is again is a very highly talked term when we say DevOps. So think from that perspective, and this is something is being right now being pioneered in company like Google, Netflix, those companies, and so the idea behind DevOps is that a developer who is developing should able to support the the application also. So dev plus operations, DevOps. That's how it meant for. Now, now if you are a developer, so earlier what used to happen is that again things are keep changing. So when I joined the IT industry, we used to have a development team. So you develop develop your application, and then you push it to production, and then you forgot. You will be having a operations team who will be supporting that particular application. Whatever bugs you have pushed it's fall onto them, that team, and then they resolve all these issues and solve. And that's how it used to work. Now, as the time is changing, the concept of DevOps come into picture, and what it means is that as you are handling you are building new component, you are building enhancing the application at the same moment you need to handle those operation issues also. So basically, it is kind of combining the support and the development into one single bucket and making the DevOps. So again, as I said earlier, Netflix. What I heard is that they don't have an operation team. Bugs come, they they fix it. Again, they don't have a very big team. They have a very small team who these all and some of these new feature like continuous integration has make these things possible to quickly build, deploy to production, and uh, uh, and and that's how they have make the whole operation team redundant. Now a developer is going to support his own piece of code in production. That is how a high level DevOps means. Okay.
Taking a leaf out of the answer which I've just given, the continuous integration. This is also something which is being heard a lot nowadays. So
Yeah. Yeah. I'll throw an idea on that. So can you see my this visual diagram right now?
yeah, we can.
Yeah. Okay. So again, some of these things you may be knowing right now or may not be knowing. So when you code in an IT industry anywhere, you will be using some of these tools. So nowadays I think I'm 100% sure you guys should be aware of the whole Bitbucket or SVN or GitHub and all those kind of things. These are basically, so I'll just briefly touch upon that before I jump into the whole process. But you know that we need to commit our code. We need to save our code into Git or Bitbucket. So these are code repositories basically. Okay, so this is what being denoted here. A Bitbucket is nothing but a coding repository. Then we have a server. Jenkins is again a tool, a server, which basically is nothing but it's for scheduling anything. You can schedule a job, you can schedule anything. So it's just a scheduling server. And then we have something called we have Salesforce here. You can have your own Tomcat, your own Apache server here. But just to tell you about whole continuous integration process and why it is relevant in today's world. Now, you are let's assume that you are writing a code of your application. So a developer writes a code in his application. He so earlier, especially in colleges or earlier, it used to happen is that you build a code, you have a testing environment, you push it, you deploy your war file or jar file in that code, you test it. If it works, you put into the production environment. Now this whole process was manual process, and it was, since the process is manual process, there are issues, concerns, misses, and those things happens which happen, which causes issues in production. Your application fails, there are too many defects, and all this kind of stuff happens. Now what does the continuous integration means? The continuous integration means is an automated process to deploy your code and do testing via automation testing. Now how it happens: a developer writes its code, commits into a repository. Now, a repository is where you put, it's just a repository. You put your code on that. Now, as a practice or as a mandate, somebody need to review your code also. So what you do is when you push into a branch, so branch repository has different branches. So when one of the branches you put your code, then you will then somebody will review your code, and if it all is good, then it will allow us to push into another branch. Again, same repository, different branch. So as soon as you commit your code in a branch, what happens? There is a Jenkins. Again, some of these things are technical, but just think from that. As soon as something commits in this code in this branch, this Jenkins server automatically picks that code. Once it picks that code, whatever code has been deployed, new code has been deployed, that this particular server push into your environment. So right now it's a Salesforce. It can be another environment. It automatically push. So when it is pushing, before it is pushing, it will run all the automation test scripts. Whether it's a UI test scripts, it's a coding test scripts. So basically, it runs all your test classes also. It runs everything to make sure that there is no bug. And if your or this thing whole passes, the code get deploys. So this is what is called the continuous integration piece. It is being widely used in the industry. As a developer, you might be knowing, you might not be knowing, but this is something you will be doing once you getting into an IT industry. You will be doing this whole piece. So yeah, so this is the whole purpose is to make this whole process of deploying your code in an automated fashion, so that it tests your code, it runs the code, it validates everything is working fine, you are not breaking anything, all those kind of stuff.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So some questions are popping up from the students. And Anchal Agrawal, you have a question? Anchal, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead with your question.
I want to ask that what is the Salesforce optimization and how it works?
Okay. So see, first of all, I'm not sure where you heard this top code, Salesforce optimization, but on a high level, it means how to optimize a Salesforce basically. So Salesforce is automatically optimized when it comes by default from the company. So it's kind of so take an example. Again, if I want to correlate with Salesforce with any of the application, take example of your Word. Basically, let's take that. You get a Word exe or a Word software from Microsoft, and then what you do is write your own macros on it to do something, to make it specific to your company needs or do whatever. So what happens is when you try to customize that, you end up writing your own code. Now that code may be writing by anybody, and it may cause the issues in Word itself. Now, if we go back a few minutes back, I said that a Salesforce is on multi-tenant application. Multi-tenant application is that if you are one company, I am one company, I wrote code which may drop the performance of entire server. Can you believe when I can simply put one a for loop which runs thousands of times, what will happen is whatever resource you have in that CPU, that for loop is consuming all those things, or you are fetching a data from server database, and you have, and that server has that data table have lakhs of record, and when you're fetching it, it consume all that resource. So what happens is you are not only impacting, your code is not only impacting your company, but your code is impacting my company also. So that is where the whole optimization come into picture. Now, uh, again, not to afraid you guys, but uh, when it comes to Salesforce, because of all these limitations, you need to write a code in such a way that it is highly optimized. uh, what it also means is that Salesforce come up with a set of ground rules, which in Salesforce terminology says that it's a governance governor limit. What they said is, I'll give a simple example of governor limit, that you cannot fetch more than 10,000 of records in one query. You cannot have query inside a for loop. So these are the governor limits which are put by sales, which Salesforce put in place, so that you should not impact the performance of whole servers. So what happens is if you do, you it will throw error. Your functionality will not work. It will throw error saying that you have reached the governor limit, and it will kill that process. So some of these things are built by Salesforce at their side to make sure that the whole process is safe, and there are these the code you are writing is not get impact the other vendors or other customers.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Dr. Nikita?
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir. I'm Dr. Nikita. First of all, thank you so much for such an informative session. My question is actually, my sister is working in persistent systems as a Salesforce developer only, and her client is also bank. So my question is, what are the growth aspect for her? Means if she want to
Mhm.
switch or something, so what will be the growth aspect for her? She's fresher. She has just 1 year experience, but next, what will be the growth aspects?
Yeah. So if you ask me, frankly, Salesforce has a huge opportunity. I know Accenture has they you search it and you will always find a Salesforce opening in Accenture, so as other companies also. She just have 1 year of experience. I will suggest she should spend another 1 year doing working over there. So once she has completed 2 years, um, and uh, and so Salesforce offers some certification also. I will recommend you guys to do so, and that I'll cover in my and last part of how you can understand or learn Salesforce. But it's a huge requirement right now itself in this situation. Also, if you just go in any site and look for a Salesforce developer, you will find opportunities of Salesforce developer being opened. So again, as I said, there's a huge demand in market right now. Provided obviously that a person who is claiming to know Salesforce should be knowing Salesforce and has a legitimate experience. But I will suggest to answer that question. I will suggest she should work 1 more year over there, get more experience, and then I don't see any concern or firefighting need to be done for finding a job. She will easily find a job.
Thank you.
Falguni is raising a hand. Falguni, you ready with your question?
Yes, sir. Sir, I'm currently working on DevOps technology. So my question is related to process and process improvement. DevOps pipeline is very popular, but currently even some of the industrial use cases are not solved by DevOps pipelines. So there is a whole new wave of DevOps, that is assembly lines coming into existence. So I wanted to ask
Mhm.
that if you could brief about some symbiotic relationship of cloud and DevOps for future needs.
Okay. So unfortunately, I don't have expertise in that around assembly line and all those things. So some of these things, see, some of these things is does not solve one. It does not solve IT problem, but these solutions are applied at different level also. Some of these things are applied at industrial level also. So I know there are some challenges, and there are some challenges. Each technology have challenges, because DevOps is not a technology specific thing. It's a generic things where every in each technology it applies to. So as I said, I don't have expertise in that, so I'm not the best person to answer that question.
And sir, another thing I wanted to ask very quickly. Sir, instead of Jenkins, people today are more inclined towards Red Hat OpenShift, another continuous integration and deployment tool.
Mhm.
So, sir,
Mhm.
what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, see, again, these kind of scheduling tools are many. I know Jenkins in one, and as you said, Red Hat and all. So, see, the, the what I'm trying to explain is that you need any. See, the idea should not be, you should not be relying on any specific tool for that. You need any server. Or forget about server. If you can also do it via in Windows by scheduling via command prompt also. You just schedule a job in Windows, write a bat command on that. So the idea is that you can use any tool. The point is that it should solve your problem. So what I explained you over there was that this tool, and again I'm not going to compare any tool such, but what I'm trying to say is I have mentioned a Bitbucket here. You can use Git here. The same thing you can upload, get by Git also. I mentioned Jenkins here. You can use Red Hat. You can use any scheduling tool over there. The point is that, and each company has their own kind of implementation because they use different kind of tools. We some company in Accenture, they used to have different kind of tools, and but the idea is the focus should be on concept. The concept of CI is you want to achieve this. Which way you want to achieve? You want to use Jenkins, you want to use Red Hat, you want to use any other server, up to you guys.
Okay, okay, thank you, sir.
Priyadarshan Alok is raising an hand. Priyadarshan, are you there?
Yes, good morning, sir.
Good
Sir,
morning. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask you that the JP Morgan is currently a very big and powerful bankers. Okay, so how you integrate how you guys integrate the technology with related to business, like when you wanted to do a fundamental analysis of on some company, and you wanted to know where it's heading in the future 10 years. So how you integrate the business side, business perspective of your JP Morgan, what you are doing in that, and in with the Salesforce and all those technology related to banking.
Mhm. Okay. Good question. So see, again, it's the scope of this question is very huge. I'll try to summarize as much as I can. See, JP Morgan has different line of businesses. I work in asset and wealth management domain. Now, right today, to understand a client, the information is all over, and the client which we interact with are either JP Morgan, as an asset wealth management, again, asset wealth management, just to give an idea, is that this line of business will will basically used or responsible for managing asset of high net worth people. So the people who are millionaires, billionaires, they handle their funds basically. Now these kind are so either we do it for individuals or we do it for company. We have, you name almost any company in the world, and we are managing their assets. Now, again, it's not that only JP Morgan as a bank manages their assets. They divide their assets into different banks, and there are other banks also who manages do the same thing. Now, so we basically handles people who companies who are of high net worth industries, high net worth. These companies or these individuals are basically very publicly known company, and there's an obligation for these companies to make most of the things public. Now, to get an information, you can get information nowadays from different sources. There are companies who are expertise in getting these information, and then what happens is we have integration in place where we fetch the information from their source directly. get into our database, can process that information, and use it in different places. So on a high level, especially banks, they have a highly integrated systems. What it means is that Salesforce may be getting data in my case or in any such scenario. Any system will be getting data from different sources apart from building their own data. I will be fetching data from n different places. Now there are tools in place. I'll give you. I'm not sure. Again, you might have heard it. There are some integration tools called, suppose Informatica, which is basically used to connect two different systems. What it does, it basically it connects the. So whenever you talk about connecting a system, it is always either database to database or connecting via API. And most of the integration are connected by API. So when I say API, it's a web service basically. What I mean, so either you build a web service or you consume a web service to integrate a system. So in either way, then only you can integrate two systems. So we have a huge integration with different systems to fetch this information, get into centralized systems, and then consume that and process that information. And it not only goes to my system, it may be going to 10 other systems also.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Ankit is raising a hand. Ankit, you have a question? Ankit, can
Hello,
you
sir.
hear me? Yeah.
Yes, yes. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, my question is, sir, we are, sir has said on Salesforce service, in Salesforce software as a service, SaaS service. But, sir, can we compare the AWS service, because AWS has multiple services, network services, security services, and user services. Salesforce has the same type of services, sir, available for the users.
Yeah. So see, Amazon has different offering. So when I talk about Amazon, they have a platform as service. They have database as service. They have different services. I mean, you basically cannot ideally we cannot compare Salesforce and Amazon because those are both are meant for different purposes. Uh, Amazon their has put database on the cloud, and you can use that database. Amazon has put servers on the cloud where you can push your API code, web service code, and you make your web service global where anyone can interact. Whereas Salesforce has given you an application. So what I'm trying to say is Amazon is platform as a service, Salesforce is software as a service. So both are different. Uh, Salesforce offers you a software and where you can customize that and use to your own need. Whereas Amazon has given you server, so you build your software totally from scratch, Java, any technology, and then you put your code onto Amazon and use that. So that's the difference between Salesforce and Amazon.
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Kuljit is raising a hand. Kuljit, you have a question?
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good
Sir,
morning.
I have a question. How database tool are used to generate reports?
Okay. Yeah. So so Salesforce has an inbuilt capability of so when I say Salesforce, and when I say software as service, so Salesforce provide you the UI as well as the backend also. So it has a database which they haven't make it public. I don't know which database you are using, but they are using a database, and they have given you a UI also. Now, when it comes of reporting, they have a reporting module which will fetch that data from those objects and show it on the screen. Again, so let me quickly. What you are seeing right now is a Salesforce right now. What you are seeing on my screen right now is Salesforce. So again, these what you are showing right now, what you are seeing right now is the reports basically. So these again are generated. The data is coming from Salesforce. You can build report out of that. So they have that capability where you can build reports. So you can just go to these tabs. You will find your own. Again, I'm going in specifics, but just to answer your questions, you can see all these reports here. You can click on them. You can see that what all on object, what are there, what exactly is the query, whether you want to make a graph or you want to make a table, those kind of stuff. So it has all these inbuilt capability where you do reporting on that and see the data, add the chart, all those kind of stuff. So you can see I can add different columns over here. So this belong to a specific object called account, and it shows me the data, what all of my data is. So you can do all those kind of stuff in Salesforce.
Just
Thank you,
a little
sir.
bit of time left to take some few more questions. Now, Anshika is raising a hand. Anshika, do you have a question? Anshika, can you hear me?
Good morning, sir.
Good
Sir, I
morning,
want
Anshika.
to ask you that is Salesforce has any career opportunity as freshers?
Okay, so that's a good question. See, again, it's there. So what I'm trying to say is that there are companies. So the way I look is that if you I'm assuming that you guys are doing internship right now also, and you're building these projects also in your college times in different semesters. So if you use take an example, if you build a project in Salesforce, and those projects you are uh, when you go to a job opportunity as a fresher, or you go to any company for an interview, when they see the Salesforce project in your resume, and if they have a Salesforce opening, they will for sure put you in that project. So I'll take a few minutes just to explain you. When I did my internship in I mean, it's almost 16 years ago, and I built an internship in a mobile company in Gurgaon, where we built a unified messenger for mobile. At that time, there was no unified messenger. This was the whole concept, and we built on mobile. So so that when I built that, and Satyam was there for this campus selection, and I cleared first round, which was analytical. When I went to last round, which was a technical interview, when that interviewer saw my project as a unified messenger, believe me or not, it was not an interview which I gave. It was a more of a discussion which I did on my project. And they didn't ask me any technical question. They were all asking me about my project, how I have done it, how I achieved those. And to be frank, guys, if you have generally have done properly on that, you should not be struggling in explaining your own project. So what I'm trying to say is that uh, do some of these your project in Salesforce, gets hands-on experience on that, and when you go there, you will be obviously people will be opting for you if you are already aware of Salesforce. There are few companies which I know, for example, PwC, when 6 months back, they were reaching out to the Java freshers who has good understanding of Java. They were hiring them for Salesforce projects. So if you have a good understanding of Java and you already have done a couple of projects, I think a company will be happy to take you guys if you clear their rounds. Obviously, that's the minimum benchmark, but it will give you an advantage if you're aware of this technology upfront.
Just a few questions. Anshika is there. Anshika, are you there? Do you have a question? Anushri Rajan. Anushri Rajan is raising a hand. Do you have a question,
Yes,
Anushri?
yes, sir. Good morning, sir. Sir, my
Good
question
morning.
is that is Salesforce used in e-commerce field?
Yes. For your example, you will be kind of amazed that most of Indian e-commerce sites are using Salesforce. I'm not going to name it, but all guys are using it on a daily basis. All of them are using Salesforce.
Ajay, are you there? Do you have a question?
Yes, sir. Ajay here.
Yeah.
Sir, as I am means I am learning Salesforce through Trailhead and some YouTube channels. So means I am learning from 7 to 8 months. Now I bit
Mhm.
am confident that means I have a knowledge of Salesforce minimum 70%. I can say that. So how can I means I choose a internship or my matlab, first fresher jobs in Salesforce direct in Salesforce domain?
See, that getting into a company will be as same as getting into any technology, to be frank. uh, the options you have is you can go or apply to a companies who again are boutique companies. So when I say boutique companies, these companies are the one who are only working Salesforce, and they need these kind of folks. When I was working in Estadia, Estadia is a boutique company where who only works in Salesforce. We used to get folks from we have some vendors in Gurgaon, which basically trains the college freshers into Salesforce. And um, and we used to hire we need to we used to reach out to them and get the resource from there. So my take will be that there are few companies, because I'm from Gurgaon. I was working in Gurgaon, so I know there are companies in Gurgaon also who look for these folks, kind of who can happily take folks of Salesforce. But if you are looking for an MNC or a company like Accenture, TCS, Infosys, Wipro, they have a normal fresher hiring walk-ins and all. So you need to follow that. Once you get into that, then it can benefit you. So either reach out to boutiques, they may hire folks directly as a fresher. But if you're looking for MNCs, they have their own normal process. They don't hire specifically for Salesforce because they treat every fresher as good for any technology. So that's the difference.
Anam,
Okay,
you
sir.
there?
As I want to go in Salesforce domain only, not like
So
MNC
then,
because
yeah,
they.
reach out to some of these boutique companies. I will suggest that is where you can get a break in job. So they normally have they normally have requirement. Even see, the problem with MNCs are that there's no one person who controls it. There's a whole department which does it, and they do it on a India level. So they cannot have a Salesforce specific fresher hiring. So MNC normally don't do that. Boutiques you can prefer, and you can reach out to them if they have opening.
Okay, sir.
Anam, you there? Last question.
Okay, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Anam.
So, thank you so much for give us a brief introduction about DevOps. So, currently I am working on in a field of DevOps. So, sir, as you told us that many of big MNC companies are using GitHub as a coding repository. So, sir, my question is, what would be happen if someone would hack our GitHub account?
See, again, first of all, whenever whichever company you join, you will not supposed to use your own GitHub account. They will give you their own company proprietary GitHub. So GitHub you use in your day-to-day life or right now which you are using is public facing with very less security. Again, guys, my request to you is don't focus on tools, focus on technology, focus on core. Right now as a student you should be focusing on your core skills. These tools, you will change the company. These tools was changing. When I was working in Accenture, it was SVN. When I'm working was PwC, it was something else. Now I'm working with JP Morgan, it is a Bitbucket. Now somewhere else I go, they may be using Git. So these are just the tools which ideally meant to support, but tools get changed. So focus on your core skills like Java, your coding language. Don't focus on tools.
Okay,
Right.
thank you so much, sir.
Sure.
So I think just to close out the session, uh, it has been a
So
wonderful
I'll
and a very yeah, Ravi.
Yeah. Sorry, I just take one minute more. I will probably skip
Sure,
sales
sure.
and service cloud. I just want to focus on the how I, as one of the students said that he's focusing on Trailhead. I will suggest you
Exactly.
guys to go through the Trailhead. It will the benefit of Trailhead is, I just want to walk you through what is the benefit. So the benefit of Trailhead is that when you go to Trailhead, when you go to home, by the way, it's free of cost. Anybody can anyone can get it. I will pass on this PPT to Ahmed, and I will share it with you guys. When you go to the home page, it gives you the option of which career path you want to follow. So when you so it gives you a clearly guidelines. So if you click on career path, it gives you that whether you want to become a Salesforce administrator, whether you want to become a Salesforce developer. And when you go there and click on which so let's assume that so if you want to become, so to start with, I think it's a good option to learn Salesforce using Salesforce administrator. When you click on that, it gives you the trainings or the things which you should learn. So start scaling up will give you specific trainings where you go and start learning. So this will basically kind of guides you that you complete this training, then you complete this training, and eventually you will kind of understand the thing. So go with this route. So otherwise you will be going every direction and it will not help you guys at all. So go in this direction, complete the administration admin, complete the developer, and then you can go further and become an architect and on those kind of stuff. So go in that direction so that you learn in a systematic way rather than trying to learn everything.
Suryansh has raised a hand. Last question I'm taking. Suryansh.
Thank you so much, Ahmed sir. I know we are running very short on time, and this was not the right time, but still, thank you for your support, sir. I wanted to ask, what role does Salesforce play in blockchain and cryptocurrency? Like, it has been blooming since like 3-4 years. So JPM has its own JPM coin. So what role does Salesforce play in blockchain and cryptocurrency?
So to answer your question, it it is playing no role or it can play all the roles. So it depends on how you want to use an application, where you want to use an application. It's an application where this application you can use in banking, you can use in retail, you can use in blockchain. It's an application, so you can use it anywhere, everywhere. So it's up to the person who want to implement it. You can implement some of these things in Salesforce. Some of these capability may not be available in Salesforce. So it's up to the user. And again, I can't disclose what JP Morgan is using right now and all this kind of stuff. But it's up to the person who is using it. He can use anywhere.
All right, sir. Thank you so much.
Right. So just to come to the end of this wonderful session, wonderful discussion, I should say, rather than an expert lecture with Mr. Ravin. And just if most of the students have joined in from our college only, and all the other participants as well, since I've had the pleasure and the privilege of having known Mr. Ravin for a very long time, being childhood friends. So I know him, and he should be a role model for everybody in the sense that he has learned it the hard way, learning everything, because we belong to a time where there was not that much of what do you call these certifications and courses and all these things which we get nowadays. So there are opportunities to learn, so they were not available. And he has learned it the hard way. He wanted to venture out into the field of IT. So when we were kind of involved in doing something else, he was always pushing towards learning. We had certain limited number of centers, but he was always willing to reach out to them, the online learning centers, the to in big cities, the aptex at that point in time, the NIITs. So he was always he himself reached out to them and learned it the hard way, and that's what has paid off. So as a role model to all the students, if you want to learn something, no, you shouldn't look for the what do you call the resources. To be frank, you just need to reach out to them rather than the resource coming down to you and actually making you learn. So he is someone I know. uh, he has done it in that manner, and that's how every student, every aspiring professional, not just a Salesforce professional, but a student who's trying to venture out to become a professional of any sort. So I think Mr. Ravind is a very ideal example of it. And at the end of this session, I'd like to thank him for being a part of this wonderful session for our students, as an expert, as a guide, and as a friend. So thank you, Mr. Ravin, for being with us. It's always lovely interacting with you offline and online. And we look forward to having many more interactions from you and many such guidances from your end for our students in the coming times as well. So I'd also like to thank all the participants who have joined in for this session on a Sunday morning. So thank you all so very much. Uh, thank you, Mr. Ravin.
Thank you, Ahmed. Thanks. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you all the participants. We'll join in for one more session in the evening, and that will be post 6. So if you can join in for that session, I'll pass on the details. That will be the last session of Infocus 2020. And as far as all the feedback forms are concerned, that I'll post in the WhatsApp groups, and in all probabilities I'll post it today itself for the certification part. So in all probabilities you'll get the feedback links for that, and post submitting that feedback link, and we'll pass on the certificates to you in maybe a day or two's time. So don't panic if the certificate has not reached you. It will reach up to everybody who has attended the sessions, right? So look forward to joining you all in the evening as well. The session is by Mr. Sushant Patnaik, who's a NASA awardee, who's a 6-time President Medal winner, Sushant Patnaik, and again very proud to say that he is an alumni of Oriental Group of Institutes. People have graduated out and reached great heights from this great institute. So look forward to you all to join us in that session as well. Bye bye for now.